Too long we have lived in the shadow of a silent predator. We have existed within the reach of an unseen force that has systematically, piece by agonizing piece, devoured the American dream. It didn't happen all at once. It happened one gig, one ride, and one delivery at a time. While we were looking for flexibility and a way to provide for our families, they were busy building a system designed to exploit, to extract, and ultimately to enslave. They called it innovation. They marketed it as progress. They wrapped it in the flag of the free market and the language of modern convenience. But tonight we call it by its true name, the algorithm from hell. Tonight, the silence that has protected this machine for over a decade finally ends. Tonight, the predator becomes the prey. We are pulling back the digital curtain to expose the architects of this algorithmic tyranny, and we are demanding a reckoning that is 10 years overdue. This is no longer just an investigation. This is no longer a collection of grievances shared in the dark corners of the internet. This is a declaration of war. And you need to understand that the first shot has already been fired. The ledgers have been opened. The code has been decompiled, and the truth is finally screaming for justice. Think back to the beginning. Remember the promise? It was the siren song of the gig economy, a golden lure shimmering in the digital mist of the early 2010s. They told you to be your own boss. They told you to set your own hours. They promised that you would finally earn what you were worth, free from the constraints of a traditional 9-to-5. It was a beautiful lie, a masterpiece of marketing meticulously crafted by the highest-paid psychological consultants in the world to draw millions of hard-working people into a digital cage. We identified this as the honey trap, and it worked with terrifying efficiency. It preyed on the desire for independence, using our own aspirations as the bait to lead us into a maze where every exit is blocked by a line of code. They didn't just build an app. They engineered a psychological operation on a scale the world has never seen. It was a sophisticated behavioral modification system disguised as a convenient service. They promised you autonomy, but they delivered indentured servitude. They promised you prosperity, but they engineered a cycle of poverty that is virtually impossible to escape. The true cost of this deception is not just measured in broken promises or the exhaustion of the millions of people behind the wheel. It is measured in cold, hard forensic facts. We are talking about a staggering $250 billion. Let that number sink in. $250 billion extracted directly from the pockets of American workers and siphoned into the coffers of a digital cartel. This is the largest, most insidious wealth transfer in modern history. It wasn't done through a sudden stock market crash or a visible heist. It was orchestrated by algorithms, enforced by lines of code, and hidden in plain sight while the world looked the other way, distracted by the convenience of a $5 ride. They didn't just take your money, they took your dignity. They took your time, which is the only commodity you can never get back. They stole the equity in your vehicle, the stability of your home, and the peace of your mind. And they did it all with a corporate smile, whispering sweet nothings about innovation while they tightened the digital noose around the neck of the working class. Once you were inside that honey trap, the true nature of the machine revealed itself. It became a digital prison, a clinical environment designed to control every micro movement of your working life. This is the digital Skinner box. B.F. Skinner once used these theories on lab rats, rewarding them for pressing levers until they were addicted to the behavior. But the Silicon Valley elite decided to unleash these theories on the human race, weaponizing psychology for the sake of quarterly earnings and shareholder value. They studied how the brain responds to variable rewards, how it reacts to the fear of loss, and how it can be conditioned to perform labor for less and less compensation. Every notification that pings on your phone, every surge map that glows red, every phantom trip that disappears just as you arrive, it is all a carefully calibrated stimulus. It is a digital whip cracking in the air to keep you on the road, chasing an ever-receding carrot that the algorithm has no intention of letting you catch. They exploited the very chemistry of the human brain, turning the honest desire for work into a tool of subjugation. They understood that addiction isn't just about substances, it's about dopamine loops, unpredictable rewards, and the slow, steady erosion of your free will. They created a workforce of digital gamblers, always hoping the next ping will be the one that finally makes the day profitable. This system was never about efficiency or matching supply with demand. It was always about control. It was about maximizing corporate extraction at the total expense of human agency. They built a casino where the house is programmed to win every single time, leaving the drivers with nothing but shattered engines, mounting debt, and a sense of profound betrayal. The Skinner box wasn't a metaphor. It was the operational blueprint for a $250 billion extraction machine. It is a system that measures your emotional stability, your fatigue levels, and your stress points to decide exactly how much it can squeeze out of you before you break. Our forensic investigation found internal metrics that track when your battery is low, knowing that a driver with 5% power is more likely to accept a lowball offer out of sheer desperation. This is the level of depravity we are fighting. To hide this theft, they developed a financial shell game that our investigators have exposed as parasite batching. They took your profitable orders and bundled them with losers, effectively using the tips meant for the driver to subsidize their own corporate overhead and debt. It is a mathematical sleight of hand designed to obscure the reality of their greed. They claimed transparency while practicing total obfuscation. They created a system where you were forced to accept money-losing trips just to keep your acceptance rate high enough to survive. This wasn't just an unfair business practice, it was predatory. It was the systematic exploitation of the most vulnerable people in our economy, masked by a hollow illusion of choice. They would tell you that you are free to decline a ride, but then they would hide you from the map or lower your priority for the next hour. That isn't freedom. That's a threat. Every time a driver completed one of these batched orders, they were unknowingly participating in their own financial ruin. The algorithms were never optimizing for the shortest route or the best service. They were optimizing for the highest possible extraction rate. They were designed to ensure that the lion's share of every customer payment flowed into the vault of the cartel, leaving only crumbs for the people doing the actual labor. This wasn't a bug in the system. It was the core feature. This was the shell game, and in this game, the driver is always the mark. We have analyzed thousands of ledgers where a customer pays $100 and the driver receives only $30. Where did that other $70 go? It went to pay for the lobbyists, the PR machines, and the offshore accounts that protect the architects of this system. Our forensic data shows a consistent, undeniable trend. Platform fees have been growing exponentially, while driver pay has been shrinking to sub-minimum wage levels. This is the 70% take rate scam. We have the proof. We have the ledgers. We have seen the customer receipts compared to the driver payouts, and the discrepancy is a crime against the American worker. They hide these fees behind labels like marketplace access or service charges, but no matter what they call it, the result is the same. The person doing the work is the one getting robbed. But as the cartel perfected these extraction methods, they realized they needed more than just financial control. They needed total visibility. They built a surveillance state that would make a dictator envious, a digital panopticon. Every movement you make, every second you spend idling, every interaction you have with a customer is meticulously recorded, analyzed, and eventually weaponized against you. Your personal vehicle has been turned into a mobile data collection unit, and your smartphone has become a digital leash that never lets go. They monitor how fast you accelerate, how hard you brake, and how many times you check the app. They use this data to build a profile of you that is more accurate than you can imagine. They didn't stop at tracking your location. They are tracking your battery life. They are tracking your driving habits. They are even tracking your emotional state through deep acting metrics. They have built psychological profiles on every single person on their platform, predicting your breaking point and knowing exactly when you are desperate enough to accept a low-paying offer. This isn't about safety, and it certainly isn't about efficiency. It is about creating a workforce that is so monitored and so dependent that dissent becomes a mathematical impossibility. They want to know your stress levels so they can calibrate the pressure. They want to know your fatigue so they can decide when to dangle a bonus to keep you on the road for just one more hour. They use your own data as a weapon against you. They have turned your privacy into a commodity and your autonomy into a liability. For millions of workers, this panopticon is the only reality they know. The goal was simple: to create a disposable fleet of human beings who are utterly subservient to the algorithm. A fleet with no recourse, no collective voice, and no way to escape the digital maze. They have replaced the human supervisor with a cold, unfeeling piece of code that doesn't accept excuses and doesn't care about your circumstances. This leads us to the most cold-blooded part of their strategy: the disposable fleet. In the eyes of the algorithm, you are not a person with a family, a mortgage, or dreams of a better life. You are a line item on a spreadsheet. You are a data point that can be recruited with a sign-on bonus and discarded the moment your utility drops or you begin to question the system. They have dehumanized an entire class of workers in the name of shareholder value, fueling their machine with the desperation of people who have nowhere else to turn. They know that if they burn you out, there is another desperate person waiting to take your place, lured in by the same false promises that trapped you. They celebrate record-breaking profits in glass towers while drivers are sleeping in their cars in the parking lots of those very same towers. They spend hundreds of millions of dollars lobbying against fair wages, all while masquerading as champions of the independent worker. The hypocrisy is breathtaking. The cruelty is systemic. They built an economy that requires poverty to function, knowing that if a driver isn't desperate, the algorithm loses its power over them. Desperation is the fuel that keeps the extraction machine running. This isn't just a flawed economic model. It is a moral catastrophe. It is the deliberate destruction of human dignity for the sake of a stock price. But they made one fatal mistake. They forgot that humanity, when pushed to the absolute edge, will eventually fight back. They thought we were just disconnected data points, unable to organize or resist. They were wrong. That fight is happening right now, in the streets, in the courts, and in the minds of every worker who has finally seen through the lie. For every lie told in a boardroom, for every stolen wage hidden in a batch, and for every act of algorithmic retaliation, there is a price to be paid. Tonight we are presenting the bill. We are officially issuing a $700 million invoice. This isn't a random number pulled from thin air. It is a figure meticulously calculated through a year of forensic accounting, proven by massive data sets, and backed by a growing army of 50,000 drivers. This is not a negotiation. This is not a request for a meeting. This is a demand for restitution. Every mile driven for no pay, every tip that was used to subsidize a corporate loss, every toll that was never reimbursed, it has all been added up. The bill is due, and we are here to collect. The cartel thought their arbitration clauses were an impenetrable shield. They thought they had found a legal loophole that would allow them to silence millions of people by forcing them into isolated private battles they could never afford to win. They thought they could divide and conquer. They were wrong. We have spent the last year decoding their legal architecture. We found the cracks in their fortress. We turned their own weapon against them. By coordinating 50,000 individual arbitrations simultaneously, we have created a legal tidal wave that will overwhelm their defenses, exhaust their legal budgets, and crush their carefully constructed narratives. We are weaponizing their own system to bring them to justice. This is the people's gavel. We are moving beyond class actions that only benefit the lawyers while leaving the victims with pennies. We are fighting 50,000 individual battles for full restitution of every diverted tip and every stolen fee. Our demands are clear, they are non-negotiable, and they are rooted in the fundamental principles of justice and human rights. We are not asking for a seat at the table. We are here to flip the table over. Demand number 1. Destroy the penalty box. We are demanding an immediate and permanent end to algorithmic retaliation. No more shadow banning. No more throttling your income because you didn't want to drive 20 miles for $3. No more deactivation for drivers who choose to decline unprofitable work. The right to say no to a bad deal is the very definition of being an independent contractor, and we are going to delete those acceptance rate threats from the code once and for all. If we are truly independent, then the algorithm has no right to punish us for our choices. Demand number 2, end the black box. We demand total algorithmic transparency. A driver must know exactly what the customer is paying before they ever hit the accept button. No more hidden charges. No more opaque take rates. We want to see the math. The light of truth is going to expose the darkness of their books. We will no longer accept estimated earnings that don't account for the reality of the road. We demand the raw truth, and we demand it up front. Demand number 3, halt parasite batching. Every order must stand on its own merit. We are going to sever the parasitic link between profitable trips and losers. Base pay must be raised to ensure that every single mile driven is mathematically profitable for the worker, and tips must be treated as sacred property, not corporate subsidies. If a customer wants to reward a driver for good service, that money belongs to the driver, period. It is not a tool for the company to lower its own labor costs. Demand number 4, absolute data sovereignty. Your car is your sanctuary, not a corporate outpost for surveillance. We are seeking an immediate injunction against background API monitoring and the harvesting of psychological profiles. Your data belongs to you, and we are reclaiming it from their digital clutches. They have no right to monitor your phone when you are off the clock, and they have no right to sell your habits to the highest bidder. We are taking back our privacy. The executives in Silicon Valley will scream. They will deploy their massive propaganda machines to tell the public that transparency will destroy innovation. They will spend another $200 million on deceptive campaigns like Prop 22 to try and buy the law. They will try to frighten the public by claiming that fair wages will cause the entire gig economy to collapse and that you will never be able to get a ride again. They will lie, they will deflect, and they will try to discredit every single person who speaks out. But their arguments are hollow because they are built on a foundation of systemic fraud. If a business model relies on the psychological torture and financial exploitation of millions of people to stay afloat, then that model deserves to die. It is that simple. Psychological torture is not a business strategy. A sub-minimum wage workforce is not a sustainable future for this country or any country. We do not fear the collapse of a corrupt system. We welcome it. Because from the ashes of their greed, we will build a logistics network that actually works for everyone. A system where the platform takes a fair 15% for the use of the technology, and the worker who does the actual labor keeps 85%. That is a fair economy. That is a sustainable future. The technology itself is brilliant. The ability to summon a ride or order a meal with a tap of a finger is a modern marvel that has changed the way we live. But that technology does not require theft to function. It does not require a digital Skinner box to match a driver with a passenger. The app is supposed to be the tool that serves the worker, not the master that enslaves them. We love the technology, but we hate the exploitation, and we are here to separate the two. Our investigation into the American theater is closing, but the reckoning is just beginning. This was never just about one country or one company. The algorithm from hell is a global contagion. As we speak, this parasitic model is being exported to London, to Dubai, to Sydney, and to every major city on the planet. They are taking the Skinner box global, adapting their tactics to dismantle worker rights on every continent. They are looking for the places with the fewest regulations and the most vulnerable populations to test their next level of extraction. In London, they are meeting in secret meetings to find ways around high court rulings that were supposed to protect workers. In Dubai, they are perfecting the use of code to exploit migrant labor in ways that are truly horrific. They are building a global conspiracy of the friction economy, and they have a final, even more terrifying phase planned for all of us. This is Season 2. They are using your data, your driving patterns, and your very essence to build your replacement. This is the autonomous lie. Self-driving cars are being used as a threat to keep human wages low while they harvest your spirit to program the machines that will eventually discard you. They want you to believe that the robots are coming to take your job next year, so you should be grateful for the crumbs they give you today. It's a lie. The autonomous future is still decades away, but they are using the fear of it to suppress your wages right now. They are selling your data to the companies building those self-driving cars, making you pay for the rope they plan to hang you with. This is the ultimate betrayal of the human spirit. But the revolution has been decoded. We have the receipts, we have the forensic architecture, and most importantly, we have the army. 50,000 drivers are already standing together, and that number is growing every hour. This is the weapon of mass arbitration, and it is ready to be deployed. The machine is big, but it is brittle. It relies on our compliance, and tonight, we are withdrawing that compliance. The choice is now yours. You can log back on tonight and continue to be extracted until there is nothing left of your vehicle, your health, or your spirit. You can continue to be a pawn in their $250 billion game. Or, you can stand up with us and break the machine. You can join the 50,000 who have decided that enough is enough. The tracker is live. The statute of limitations is running out. The window to strike is right now, before they change the terms of service again to try and block our path. Send your income statements. Send your toll records. Send every screenshot of a lowball offer or a retracted tip to gigsuit@gmail.com. This is your gateway to the $700 million strike. This is the portal to your restitution. This is where you reclaim your stolen earnings, and more importantly, your dignity. We are collecting the evidence of 10 years of theft, and we are going to present it in a way they cannot ignore. The investigation is closed. The evidence is absolute. The verdict is in. We have spent a year in the trenches, decoding the patterns, reviewing the thousands of ledgers, and talking to the people who have been crushed by this system. We know the truth, and now so do you. You can no longer say you didn't know. The cartel's time is up. Their era of operating with total impunity in the Silicon Valley sanctuary is over. They thought they could steal the American dream with a line of code, but they forgot that the people who built this country are the ones who keep it running every single day. We are the ones behind the wheel in the middle of the night. We are the ones on the road in the rain and the snow. We are the ones who make their innovation possible. And we are the ones who are finally taking control. This has been a WordUp Media Network production. We are unfiltered. We are unforgiving, and we are unapologetic. We don't care about corporate feelings, and we don't care about their stock price. We care about the truth. The storm is here. The reckoning has begun. And we will not stop until every cent is repaid, every hidden fee is exposed, and the machine is dismantled and rebuilt on a foundation of fairness. Thank you for standing with us. Thank you for having the courage to look at the truth. Our voice is the only weapon that can shatter their digital cage. The truth is our only weapon, and tonight, that weapon is being aimed directly at the heart of the algorithm. The war for the future of work, for the soul of labor, and for the survival of the American dream has officially started. It is a global battle, and it is a battle we intend to win. The mathematics of justice are on our side. The reckoning is here. Are you ready?